Swinging over now, we've also got COVID news. We had info from Pfizer yesterday, and now, as predicted, we've got Democrats responding to the idea of maybe a 90% success rate with the vaccine. What's happening?
Yeah, so Pfizer announced the vaccine, 90% success rate. Everything's looking great. And then Governor Cuomo goes on ABC, talks to George Stephanopoulos, and he basically suggests that because Trump is the one executing the distribution plan, he and other governors need to get together and put a stop to it. So we got a clip to play for you from that interview. We'll play that real quick. And then
vaccine distribution in the next 2 months. What do you make of this news?
Well, it's good news, bad news, George. The good news is the Pfizer tests look good, and we'll have a vaccine shortly. The bad news is that it's about 2 months before Joe Biden takes over, and that means this administration is going to be implementing a vaccine plan. And the Trump administration is rolling out the vaccination plan, and I believe it's flawed. I believe it learns nothing from the past. They're basically going to have the private providers do it, and that's going to leave out all sorts of communities that were left out the first time when COVID ravaged them.
All right. So one of the concerns that Cuomo lays out is that he thinks that the implementation plan may have trouble getting the vaccine into lower income communities that don't have as many resources. Okay. On its own, that concern is completely valid if anyone brings it up. Okay. But if you look at what Joe Biden's plan was, I went to his website. I looked up what he says his plan is for reaching
You went to
those communities.
joe30330.com?
Yes,
Amazing.
I did.
Okay.
And all he says about for his COVID plan, all he says about reaching those communities is ensure everyone, not just the wealthy and well-connected, Marxist rhetoric, in America receives the protection and care that they deserve. Okay. No specific plan.
That's easy. Just going to make sure it happens.
No specific plan.
All right.
Meanwhile, Trump, with his Operation Warp Speed, and this is per the what was this? Department of Health, and Operation Warp Speed is a partnership working together with the Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Defense, private firms, federal agencies, and working with the military to distribute the vaccines, therapeutics, and all these other things to all kinds of different communities. So it's a pretty advanced plan that's going to reach a lot of communities. And there's no reason to suggest that it would not reach lower income communities either, especially given how much thought and effort is going into this. And, they're working, private industry and federal agencies are working together on this. And more than 100, and this is CDC Director Robert Redfield pointed out in this same article that more than 100 million doses will be delivered by January of 2021. Okay. And so if Cuomo gets what he wants, okay, and he ends up stopping the distribution, he would then leave it up to Biden and his administration to come up with a distribution plan. I mean, that would be, you're getting close to the end of January when they even start on that. So you have all those months that people could have been saved with this vaccine. Yeah. And you're putting it off just to make a political point. What do you think that says about Cuomo? And kind of, this is not unfamiliar for other Democrats have made this point, and yet, so they're fighting against this vaccine because it's Trump's,
right,
and yet they claim to be the party of science.
Right. So I think it's another case of orange man bad syndrome, Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
If Trump's fingerprints are on it, then it's no good. You have to flush it. Doesn't matter if the baby's in there with the bathwater. Get rid of all of it. I think it's also typical sort of classist demagoguery. There's an old joke that if an asteroid were going to hit the world and wipe out all life, that the New York Times headline the day before would be "Asteroid to wipe out all life on Earth, women and children hit hardest." And that's what this sounds like, only with poor and underprivileged hit hardest. Yeah. That's exactly what this sounds like. Now, to the extent that Cuomo, if he wants to make a federalism argument and say, look, states would be better at figuring out how to distribute these things, that's a fair thing to say. What I'm not sure is fair to say is that the vaccine plan is flawed, and then not go on and explain precisely what those flaws are. And this leaves Democrats, again, in the uncomfortable position they end up with all the time. They end up in this position with war, too. for Democrats' talking points to be shown to be true, Americans have to hurt.
Yeah.
Dead people, dead American soldiers are good for Democrats. Unemployed minorities are good for Democrats.
Yep.
Unwed mothers are good for Democrats. All of these things that when you sort of step back and you look at from an academic perspective and with any kind of intellectual integrity, these are very bad things, yet they always, because of the way the left positions itself, they always redound to the benefit of the left, because then Cuomo can turn around and say, see, I told you people were going to die. Now people are dying. It's self-fulfilling.